I've always been fascinated by cave art. There's something raw, honest, and unfiltered about it. So simple, yet deeply profound. Just look at the lions from Chauvet Cave, mid-leap, frozen in motion. And then there are the spirals, the grids, the strange, abstract symbols we still can't fully decipher. And those handprints, someone, tens of thousands of years ago, pressed their hand against a cave wall and left a mark. I was here. I existed. These aren't just paintings. They're messages, direct connections to the minds of people who lived and died in the Paleolithic era. They show us how those people saw their world, what they valued, what they hunted, and sometimes, what they feared. Because not all cave art is about animals or hunting. Some of it is darker, images of people pierced with spears, lying face down, bleeding out. Moments of violence captured in red ochre and charcoal. So what do these scenes mean? Are they memories? Warnings? Stories? Today, we're digging into some of the oldest artworks on Earth, and what they might reveal about the violence that shaped early human life. Our journey doesn't begin in the famous caves of France or Spain. It starts much earlier, and much farther south, in Blombos Cave, near the southern tip of Africa. Archaeologists there have uncovered some of the oldest signs of symbolic thinking by Homo sapiens. Slabs of ochre engraved with cross-hatched patterns, dating back more than 70,000 years. They also found shell beads that were probably strung into necklaces, bone tools for mixing pigment, even abalone shells used as prehistoric paint palettes. These weren't just pretty objects, they're evidence of abstract thinking. But Homo sapiens weren't the only species doing this. In Spain, in caves like La Pasiega, Mont Traviso, and Ardales, researchers discovered red lines, dots, and geometric shapes that date back at least 64,000 years to 20,000 years before Homo sapiens ever arrived in Europe. These marks were likely made by Neanderthals, proving that the drive to create and to symbolize wasn't exclusive to us. That creative spark spread across the world. In Sulawesi, Indonesia, people painted pigs and hand stencils on limestone walls over 45,000 years ago. In Borneo, there are ancient paintings of wild cattle, and in Australia's Kimberley region, rock art goes back at least 40,000 years. No matter the location, one subject dominates the cave walls: animals, rhinos, mammoths, lions, bison, drawn with incredible detail and realism. But humans? Strangely rare, and when they do appear, they're often shown bleeding, dying, or in distress. So why did Paleolithic artists avoid depicting people? Even little kids, before they can speak, draw stick figures. So why not here? And why, when humans are shown, are they often wounded or dying? There's this long-standing romantic myth in anthropology, the noble savage. The idea that early humans lived in peace and harmony with nature and with each other. And honestly, some cave scenes kind of feed into that. Herds of horses, majestic bison, mammoths walking calmly. There's a kind of prehistoric nostalgia to it all. But if you stare long enough, cracks start to appear. Among the majestic animals, once in a while, you'll find something else. A person, lying face down, pierced by spears. Let's take a look at Pec Merle, a cave in southern France famous for its beautifully spotted horses. According to DNA analysis, those spots might even reflect real Ice Age horse coat patterns. But next to the symbols, tucked between the abstract art, is a rough human figure, limbs outstretched, spears driven through the body. Depending on interpretation, there are anywhere from 5 to 10 spear-like objects impaling this figure. And nearby, there's a wide, symmetrical shape. Some say it's a bird, others believe it marks identity or territory. But to me, it looks more primal, like someone standing tall, arms spread, legs apart. Aggressive, defiant. It reminds me of footage from North Sentinel Island. When outsiders tried to make contact, the islanders didn't run. They stood firm, limbs spread wide, weapons raised, a universal signal of aggression and warning. Could this ancient symbol mean something similar? Could it represent the killer? Or maybe a warning? This is what happens if you cross us. We may never know, but that same symbol shows up in nearby caves too. Maybe it was the mark of a particular group, a clan with a reputation for violence. Not far from Pec Merle is Cugnac Cave, another site in France filled with Ice Age art. Amid the deer and ibex are two deeply unsettling human figures. One is drawn inside the outline of a massive animal, probably a giant deer like a megaloceros. The figure is pierced with 3 spears, caught in mid-flee, maybe in the very moment of death. The second figure is even more dramatic, arms and legs stretched wide, pierced not once but repeatedly, in the sides, limbs, and torso. It's not an accident, it's deliberate, expressive, a visual record of murder. But why show this? Why take the time, deep in the darkness of a cave, to draw a dying person? What kind of world were these artists living in? We often imagine the Ice Age as either a brutal wasteland or a peaceful wilderness. But if you look at the data, it's more complicated. Around 37,000 years ago, Europe likely had fewer than 4,000 Homo sapiens, less than a high school football crowd spread across an entire continent. That's a population density of roughly 3 people per 100 square kilometers. For comparison, modern Mongolia has around 200 people per 100 square kilometers. People back then lived in small, mobile bands, maybe 15 to 30 individuals, more than half of whom were children. They relied on each other for survival. Large-scale warfare? Unlikely. But personal violence? That's a different story.